All right. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming here, Desi. I'm Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing, and we're going to spend a whole hour with Desi here and how she grew her team so quickly and everything that you've been promised in the webinar write-up. And my job is to be your advocate, listener's advocate, to ask the questions that you guys want to know so you can uh, get some insight of some ideas and some strategies, tactics that she's used, maybe a shift in mindset. We're going to find out for you to be able to do the same in your market. Are you ready, Desi?
Do this.
All right. So 20 deals a year was how long ago?
2019.
2019. So tell me about your business and how it came to be at the beginning of 20 deals a year. Tell me about how you got to that point and what you were doing at that point. Tell me about your life in 2019.
Okay, perfect. So we had just relocated here. I had my license in Southern California for a few years, and my main sources of business, I would go door knocking, and I was just a brand new agent. I had three little babies. I'd pull them in a wagon and we'd door knock 750 homes. I called expireds, I called for sell by owners. And just when I started picking up some momentum, we decided to leave Southern California and move to Burley, Idaho, middle of nowhere. So we moved here in 2017. 2018, I got my Idaho license and I was like, okay, this is cool. I did a couple deals, and then in 2019, I opened up my own brokerage, and that's the year, like I'd been doing 20 deals for several years, and I basically was just in a new market, didn't know anybody. And so I hooked up with this builder who was building a massive development. And here in Burley, that means about 12 homes. And so I asked him if I could represent him. And I gave him a discount on the commission because I was like, you don't know me, you don't like me, you don't trust me. I'm going to do an awesome job for you. Let me prove it. And so I did those on a discounted commission, but I ended up representing the buyer and the seller on both of those. So that's how in 2019 I got to those 24 deals, was doing that neighborhood basically. And
Oh,
then
that was nice.
yeah,
How many people live in Burley?
there's about 10,000.
And there's 95 realtors last we spoke.
Yep.
Are there
Yep.
more or less than 95 now?
There's of those 95, probably only about 15 do business.
Wow. So here you have someone that's working expireds and prospecting in Southern California, one of the most competitive markets in the country, coming into Idaho. Just curious, back in 2019, how did you learn how to do all that? And where did the motivation come from to do that in Southern California to start your business?
So my husband got me real estate books for Christmas one year, and little did I know his job was on the rocks. And he's like, we need a backup income. I was just a stay-at-home mom before that. And he's like, I think you'd be good. You're good with people. He's like, it'll be fun for you. But in his head, he's like, she better start getting shit done because like I'm not gonna have a job here in a little bit. And so his company was on the brink of bankruptcy, which I'm glad he didn't tell me because I would have freaked out. And so I got my license, and then we were living paycheck to paycheck. We made a huge mistake and went all in on our mortgage when we bought. It was our first house, and we literally could not make ends meet. And so we used all of our savings to pay for my real estate school. The company I joined made me pay like $2,500 for 2 weeks of training. I had to buy a bunch of signs up front. So we were about $6,000 into this investment, and we couldn't afford to buy leads or pay for leads. And so I knew that in order, I was just like, I just got to make $6,000 so that I can recoup our savings. Like that's it. And then I was like, well, how am I going to do that? What's free? Expireds for sell by owners. So I just started looking online at different scripts. And then I would just role play with myself as at a brokerage where we didn't have role play or training. I didn't know
You
about,
you didn't have it.
no.
Okay.
So I just role played with myself and practiced, and then just started dialing.
What an incredible source of drive to do that. That's incredible. That's very rare, Desi.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So you go out there and you move to Idaho, you get in with a builder,
Yep.
and that's now the pandemic hits probably. Where are we at
Yeah.
now in the story?
So 2020, I implemented a CRM. I'd been super resistant to a CRM. My husband was like, you should really use one. I'm like, no, I got it on my phone. Like soccer dad from Addie's game. Like I'm definitely going to remember him in 6 months. So 2020 is when I implemented a CRM, and that's the only real change I made to my business. And we added Zillow leads, and then it was just like for sell by owners, expireds. And that year I went from 24 to 89 deals with just a CRM.
My goodness. Can you go a little bit deeper on that? So you put a
Yeah,
CRM in place after a builder, and then is that mostly just cold calling on homeowners in the small town?
yeah, and like in my CRM, I would help coach my kids' teams. And so all the rosters that I would get from the little rec league, I've got 5 kids, so it was, 5 teams coaching. I'd input them into my CRM and I would just build those relationships. So I started trying to meet people. I would go to the park, I would talk to moms, I would get their contact, they would go in my CRM. I would go to the library, story time, just meeting as many people as I could because I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't know anybody. Nobody liked me, knew me, trusted me. So like, why would they call me to sell their home? I also got a Google page because that wasn't, if you looked on Google in our area, there was nobody. So we started paying for PPC, um, and we got reviews. And so I was the only person with reviews on Google. So if you Googled realtor in Burley, Idaho, I was the only name who popped up.
Wow. So someone with your drive was able to stand out very quickly in that market.
And it was funny because the builder's like, wow, you answer your phone when I call. And just through simple customer service, I started getting a lot of repeat referral. Like those clients who bought, it's the Miller subdivision, they started referring me to their friends just based on the transaction. They're like, this is amazing. Like I've bought houses before, and this experience has been so much different and so much better. And so I developed a lot of relationships with people. I've got one client, I've helped them 4 times, and they send me at least 4 to 6 people every year of their friends that are buying or selling.
And all of this is with 5 kids and a CRM
Yeah, that's it.
and a little bit of online marketing.
Yep, a little bit of online
Very
marketing.
little. I can't imagine Zillow is too expensive in that market.
No, it's crazy cheap. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think we pay like 2 grand a month right now, and we get tons of leads off there. We're still doing that.
Okay. If you guys have any questions for Desi as you try to get the whole story of her success, feel free to ask it in the chat or in the questions app. Okay. So where are we at in the story now? You add a CRM,
Added a
you're
CRM.
meeting everyone you can, you're adding them to your list, and you're just a calling machine for appointments, trying to find somebody who wants to buy or sell a house.
Yes. And I would say one other thing that I implemented early on when I moved here, I got that first listing and I was like, okay, professional photographer. I'm like Googling it and there isn't one. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to take pictures? And then you're looking on the MLS and it's like, you've got your iPhone 1 and that's like what the pictures were. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, your finger's covering the lens. So I made my husband actually learn how to do professional photos so that I could have those as kind of a value add. And so we were one of the first companies in our area to do professional photos. Any online marketing for the homes, like we were posting them on Facebook, and nobody else was even like posting them online really, just like put it on the MLS, put a sign in the yard, and then that was it. And so that's something that set us apart. They're like, oh, we see you everywhere. Like you've got your signs and your branding and you're posting on social media. And so that kind of set us apart too. So we implemented the CRM. The next year, in 2021, I decided to join my current brokerage. I left the mom and pop shop that I'd set up. We had had a couple agents join us, and I didn't realize that I wasn't in a good position to help them grow their business. I didn't know enough to be a leader, and I didn't understand how much time it would take to train these brand new agents. And I didn't have systems set up for them to succeed. I just had systems set up for myself. We used to have like a spreadsheet of our transactions and like a buyer start to finish, seller start to finish. In 2021, we implemented Sisu, which has been a game changer as far as transactions go. It's allowed me to really be able to do so much more. My capacity has just 10x'd just because I don't really have to think about it. I just do my task list and know what happens next. So I kind of shut down my old brokerage, switched to a team model. And the agents that were at my brokerage before kind of laughed because they were like, like we were on a 70-30 split. Now you're running 50-50. Like, that's not fair. And I'm like, I get it. That's not what you're promised. Like, I failed you as a leader. I didn't train you very well. Like, I totally get that you don't want to be part of it anymore. And then we've kind of stayed between like 3 to 5 agents on my team since. But the bulk of our production is me. Like that next year is when I got up to around 120, and then I've stayed between like 120 to 130 every year since.
Wow. Okay. How much of that is your own production?
Like that is my own production. So my team does another, we're doing like about 200 deals as a team, and 130 of those are mine.
So much here. Good job, Desi.
Thanks.
When did you bring on Viral? Was it a year ago?
It was probably about a year, year and a half ago. I really wanted to start hitting that email campaign hard and more social, YouTube. But I didn't have like a good system in place. And so we actually heard you speak. I think it was at spring break
Hmm.
in 2022, I think, the year it was in San Diego.
Yeah, I did a little pre-event
Mm-hmm.
there. So if you guys want to come to that, Desi's speaking at that. Let me put a link. That's Spring Benson's event.
Yeah, it's great. That event really changed kind of my mindset. And yeah, that's when we signed up with you guys. And it's been great because nobody was really doing a whole lot on social media. And that kind of, I was scared to do videos because I was like, oh, I'm so awkward and I don't know what I'm doing. And what I figured out is nobody really cares. You're your worst critic. And so just go on there and shoot it. And if it sucks, you might not get any likes. Oh, well.
All right, so that's the full story arc.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get some specifics. Are you ready, Desi?
Yeah.
All right. So you came to a new market. You got in with a builder. All right. That was your very first step.
Yep.
Can you tell me like how you got that appointment and how you earned their trust and how that worked? Let's start there.
So my husband, like when everything went down, and the reason we left California is because his company ended up selling and he needed a new job. We looked everywhere for a job, and never in my whole life did I think Burley, Idaho. I didn't even know where it was. But this is the only job he got offered, and I really think it was meant to be. But his boss, who works here, or who he worked for when we moved here, is also kind of a developer. And so Tyson was like, "Yeah, my wife like did real estate in California. Like she's pretty good." And he's like, "Oh, well, we'll give her a shot. We just developed this neighborhood. Why have her meet with Justin and let's just see how it goes." And so I had that meeting with Justin, and I remember us so scared because I was like, "This guy's this big business guy and this big developer, and he owns all these companies." And when you meet him, he's a big guy, like he's big and strong, and he's very quiet and kind of has a stern face. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna eat me alive. Um, but I just pulled up my bootstraps and I was like, no, I got this. I know what I'm doing. And I just showed him my proposal, and he's like, yeah, I'll give you a shot. Sure.
And you would discount your commission a little bit to get the deal, but you
Yep.
also got the buyer.
Yep.
All right. I mean, not much to say there. I mean, you had the listings and people wanted to probably buy houses.
Yeah.
You see a lot of people moving out of state. Like who bought I'm just curious, who bought those houses?
Yeah, so these ones were kind of
Locals?
starter homes. They were like little 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,300 square foot homes. And so it was a lot of first time buyers and a lot of retired couples. And so we had people moving here from like Utah, California, even other parts of Idaho, like Boise, Idaho Falls. They all kind of moved here because the pricing was so cheap. Like when we first,
What does a starter house cost there now?
well, now, like, okay, so these houses back then we were selling for like 175,000, and we just listed another one. They're like starting to turn over again.
Hmm.
We're getting the sellers around 315,000 for those.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Look at
if
the
you want
prices
to
going up.
almost do construction, you can get one here in Idaho for less than 350,000.
All right. Okay, so you're working the builders, and then I believe you started doing cold calls. Did you start like reaching out to expireds and FISBOs in the market next?
Yeah, and
Let's talk about that.
there's a lot of for sale by owners in our area because a lot of people don't love the agents around here. For some reason, when I moved here, it seemed like they were like, oh, they're overpaid. They don't do what they say. We get terrible service. And so, like, when you would call the for sale by owners, they would be like so aggressive. It was like, whoa. So what I tried to do is I just tried to add a lot of value. I'm like, hey, like your front picture, there's room for improvement. Like, do you mind if I come by and help you move some stuff around? And like, if I bring a buyer, like, would you pay me a commission? And they're like, well, I guess. So I would just help them a lot. And then eventually I'd be like, how long are you planning on trying this on your own before you're going to decide to hire a professional? And like, what would it take for me to earn your business? Like, when you are ready to hire a professional, like, what would it take for me to be that person? And so they would just kind of organically start calling me back after I provided some value.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
exactly how I started Viral. Let
Is
me make
it?
some video. Oh yeah. Come on, let me make a video with you. Let me edit it. Give me your list. Let me write the email. Come on,
Yep.
let me show what I can do. And eventually you start calling me now. Like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? I'd ask that same question. Like, at what point do you see the value in hiring us yet?
Yeah. And that's all like life is, right? It's relationships, providing value, and then ultimately people just want to be in your world.
Give some examples specifically of value you added to for sale by owners.
Okay.
Tell some
So
good stories.
one thing I would do, since there's no professional photographers in our area, I would go and offer to take professional photos of their home and give them to them as a gift so that they can market it better on Zillow is basically where they're marketing it, or Facebook Marketplace. Another thing that we would do is I would help them come up with a better price because they're trying to get a Zestimate, but in Idaho, it's a non-disclosure state. And so we don't see sales data. The only person who has access to that is agents and appraisers. And so I would help them come up with a better pricing strategy. And then also, one thing that they really liked, I'm like, there's a lot of agents out here who might write an offer on this home and they might try to take advantage of you because I sell houses every day and you've probably only sold once or twice in your whole life. And so if you want me to just look over the contract and give you my advice to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, like send it my way. Or if you have a buyer who doesn't have an agent and you don't have an agent, I'd be happy to handle all the paperwork for you guys for a very small flat fee. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. And I would even like bring over a contract and just go through it with them and explain it to them and what it looks like to get an offer. And I would just spend time with them.
You know, so you would offer free photos
Mhm.
and a second opinion on the contract.
Yep.
What was the third one?
Just um, free photos, second opinion on the contract, and I would go like walk through their pricing. Yeah, pricing
Oh
strategy.
yeah, the pricing strategy, of course. Great. I put a little the free photos thing is awesome. If you know how to use an iPhone, you can pretty much go out there with an iPhone. If you get the lighting right, the photos are great.
Huh.
Um, and I posted a little company that I just happened to know called Box Brownie. You ever heard of Box Brownie, Desi?
We totally use them to edit our photos.
No, yeah, not surprised. You can just upload the photos there and they make them look amazing, don't they?
Yeah, it's so
Yep.
easy. And
Hmm.
it's super affordable too.
Yep. Hmm. That's wonderful. So you call up the Fizbos and you get a hold of them. Is there many expireds in that market? Maybe with the real estate service, it might be.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of expireds. And what I found is when you call the expireds, their like agent was like their mom's sister's daughter, or whatever. Like everyone's kind of not inbred, but everyone's kind of related
Yeah,
here.
it's all,
Um,
yeah.
it's a small town, right? And so
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of success with expireds at first. But like last year, we helped probably six expireds, and we would just like one of them, we just did new photos and staging, and it had been listed for 6 months. We sold it for over asking day one on the market. And then another case, they had it listed. We actually went in and bought that one. We just offered them cash, didn't do any upgrades, didn't change anything on it. Turned around, put it on the MLS the next day with professional photos, staging, and we sold it for 85,000 more than we bought it for.
Tell me how you'd reach out to an expired in your market. How's
So
that different from a Fizbo?
one thing that's different in our market is like RedX doesn't work, like the data, you can't really collect it very easily because in California I used to use like RedX to make my dials.
Hmm.
But here you have to like do some detective work and like find their numbers. And so how I used to do the expireds is I would just call them and I would just say, hey, is this John? And they'd be like, yeah. Hey John, this is Desi with Vista Realty. The reason for my call today is I saw that your house didn't sell, and I know why it didn't sell. And he'd be like, "Oh, well, why didn't it sell?" It's like, "Well, I'd love to go over that with you. There's a couple reasons, but first I'm gonna ask a question. Why do you think it didn't sell?" And
You
usually
you you've had some training on this.
just that simple phrase, they are like,
Yeah.
"Well, the agent didn't do this and didn't do that." And, they go off. And then I try to just set up a meeting and I'll bring the MLS sheet and I'll circle a couple things in red. And then I'll bring like our marketing and show them what we do differently.
I think on behalf of everyone that heard you say that, that was beautiful of calling the expired of what you just said. So applause to that. Where did you get that training and where did you build the confidence to do that?
I think just like honestly watching other people who are doing it. Like if you go on YouTube, you can find unlimited amounts of videos of people calling expireds. And then you just have to kind of make it your own, right? You practice it so many times that I don't even know it's a script. Like obviously that's a script I learned at some point, but now it just feels like, oh yeah, that's just what I say. I made that up myself. So when you get it so ingrained in your brain that it just comes off as you, I think that's what the power is.
Tell us about your sleuthing and maybe how you find the phone number.
So I'll look on Facebook Marketplace, or not Facebook Marketplace. I'll look on Facebook. I'll find their profile, get their name, and then usually somebody I know knows them. So I'll look at like mutual contacts, and then I'll reach out to one of them and be like, "Hey, do you have John's number? I needed to call him for something, but it's
Wow.
pretty
No,
easy."
that's great. Yeah, that's great. That's how you get a phone number, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could do that in a small town.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's I don't think that's I would that even it's one of those things you said that I didn't even realize what a wonderfully intuitive way of going about getting the right number.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then sometimes it helps too, because if they're a little aggressive, it's like, "Oh well, Jen, our friend, like I actually got your number from Jen. She thought that maybe I might be able to help you."
Yeah, that would do it.
So, and then
That's
they're
great, Desi. I
um,
think everyone's seeing all these little advantages of working a small town. I think people are looking of where they should move to go establish what you did. Go relocate
okay, markets,
into a
lots
small town after hearing all this.
of
Yeah. All right. So that's how you kind of found the expired. Okay. So now, you're adding people to your CRM. Maybe tell us what CRM you came to choose and what you like and the pros and cons and how you set it up. Let's talk about this CRM now to where you put
Perfect.
everyone.
So I would say the best CRM for someone is the one that you're going to use. You've got to use it. And the first one we implemented was Sierra Interactive, and it was great for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons we used it was because our mentor, Eric Hatch, had it, and he had all these like auto plans on it that we would use. Recently, we just switched to Follow Up Boss, and the reason we switched to Follow Up Boss is because it has video messaging, you can group text. There's just a lot of capabilities that it had that Sierra didn't, and it seemed like Sierra kind of stopped growing. And so Follow Up Boss was like a better fit for us overall as a team, and it just had a lot more features that we needed.
Great. So you would talk to the expireds, you would talk to the FISBOs, you would talk to all your buyers from the housing development, add them into the CRM, enter their information,
And then
right?
I would say like the secret, so then we started getting those online leads. And if an online lead reaches out to you, chances are they're also reaching out to every agent, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's probably opting in other sites and
Yeah.
searching. I mean, you're probably compared against many people, especially in larger markets.
Yeah. So what we do differently is when we show up, like usually we try not to meet them at the house the first time. We try to get them into the office. And what we do to get them into the office is we say, well, I'm curious, like, I know you want to go see 123 Main Street, but I'm curious, like, has anyone taken the time to sit down with you and go over how you can win in today's market? And they're like, well, no. And then some people are like, no, I want to meet you at the house or whatever. So when you get to the house, you come with all this data. So I have my MLS sheet, I have their MLS sheet, it's highlighted. And then on the back, I'm like we write like the insider information. And so that way they realize they don't have to reach out to the listing agent. Like you can get all the insider information. So before I go show them the property, I call the listing agent and I say, hey, I want to make your job as easy as possible. I think these guys are going to really, really like this house and I need the insider information on it. Like I want to make sure that we write an offer that you don't have to do a bunch of back and forth counters with. And I found that if you call instead of text, they divulge so much information that otherwise they maybe wouldn't have texted you. And so I'll have a whole bunch of like handwritten notes on the back of their MLS sheet. And I'm like, just so you know, like this is kind of the insider information. Like these guys are moving to Texas and like the whole, the whole story of the seller.
You are such a phenomenal agent to do that. So you get them into your, have them come to your office first,
Yep.
and they're like, no, 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 just open the door. You're
Yep.
like, I'm still gonna get them.
Yep.
So you call the listing agent to get the inside details,
Yep.
and then show them the value of like working with you on the car hood, basically.
Yep. And then another thing that I do with that same appointment is I'll set up some other homes that are similar just in case, because chances are they aren't going to like the first home. So then when they don't like it, I'll say, I kind of knew you guys wouldn't fall in love with this one because most people don't fall in love with the first home they see. I actually scheduled 3 other ones that are really similar and similar price points. If you guys have time to go see them with me right now. If not, I totally get it. We can reschedule for another day. But I did set those up just in case you wanted to. And they're like, oh, wow. Okay. Like, yeah, we've got 15 more minutes. Like, let's go.
I mean, it's typically came in from Zillow or just,
Google
yeah,
PPC or
Google
wherever.
PPC, running, search homes for sale,
Mhm.
Zillow.
Yeah.
And then you also said that probably is it, do you have the only Google My Business profile for an agent at the time?
Now
And
people have started doing it, but like 150, maybe we're actually up to like 190 reviews now. And the next best person has like 10.
yeah,
So
I remember when all those reviews were just taking off, and I'm like, man, whoever got in early in this game that's going to have like an outsized brand
yes.
is really going to win the game. It's just going to make it really hard for anyone else to catch up.
Yeah.
And you
And
got that. It came later for you because you're in a small market, but you got that unfair advantage in that brand that exists. And I would really play that up when you're recruiting to your team, I mean, obviously.
yeah. Yeah. So we actually sell one in every 4 homes in our market.
How
And
many
so
homes sell a year?
450, give or take. So
So let's talk now in your story. Yeah, you have the online leads, you have the FISBOs, you have the expireds, you have the development, but you started going to like every social gathering you possibly could just to go meet people.
yeah,
Tell us about that and adding those people to your database.
that was a huge challenge because my husband hates people and he hates being in public, basically.
That's
So
most of us.
I would just have to like drag him along for the ride. But yeah, like going to the park, what I'll notice is a lot of people kind of just stay to themselves. And like you're there playing with your kids anyway, so you might as well. So I would just go start up a conversation with a mom. And ultimately, it would always come up like real estate. You just do like the Ford script, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, like, but it's not a script. You're just having a conversation and then they'll be like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a realtor actually." And they're like, "Oh, I've always thought about getting into real estate. I love looking at houses online." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Like, do you guys own your house or do you guys rent?" And then, it just sparks that conversation. And then it's like, "Hey, I actually want to do a girls' night. I don't know very many people. Like, can I get your contact information and would you be interested in like going to a girls' night?" And just like organizing little girls' night get-togethers or things like that.
Wow. So you would drag your husband to a park and he's there with you hanging out, right?
Yep.
And then you would go just talk to all the strangers there and turn the conversation to real estate and get permission to stay in touch and add them to your list. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Is anyone else blown away by that? That's
Like it
that's
sounds so
that's
simple.
phenomenal. Yeah.
People are probably like, oh, that wouldn't work. But like, then those people already know, like, and trust you, right? But
Yeah.
I'm,
Those are you give those people to me on your viral plan. Those are
yeah,
shoe-ins for getting your stuff versus
yeah,
like some cold internet lead.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think something else that really set us apart is the transactional process. Because a lot of people have bought or sold a house and they're like, this process is way better with you. And one thing that we do is communication's huge, but letting them know what happens next. So that way they never have to reach out to me and be like, what's going on? It's like, okay, now we've got your offer accepted. What happens next is you're going to go deliver the earnest money to the title company. And this is how you do that. And then like once their offer gets accepted, we send like a cookie bouquet. It's like a box of cookies with like a couple balloons, and my assistant delivers it to wherever they work. And it's just like, hey, congrats on your
To where
offer.
they work.
Yeah,
That's key.
yeah, because I mean, if I take it to PCA, it's like a factory here, and they get a gift, all their friends are gonna be like, what's that? They're like, oh, my realtor sent it to me. And so it's strategic, right? It
Yeah.
costs me like 10 to 15 bucks, and it's a great way to get your name out there.
Does he have to share a story with you? Believe it or not, I don't think anyone would probably believe this. I was a in-home fitness trainer in college.
Okay.
I would take people, I'd go to their home and work out with them many years ago. And I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, where a lot of Warren Buffett money. And I ended up getting a client that worked at like TD Ameritrade or some of the big corporations there, ConAgra. So I bought a fridge. I bought a portable fridge, like 150 bucks, put some balloons on it and put it full of protein shakes and sent it to him at work in their executive suite.
Yes.
And that's how I got all the other executives to become clients. And I was doing that in college.
Genius. How did you come up with the idea?
I was like, I got to get in with all their friends. I think all their friends and all their fellow executives are hanging out at work. So I got to make a statement of their at-home trainer sent them a refrigerator for their office of protein shakes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
I bet.
I'm thinking about what you're doing at work. It's bringing back the memories of doing that. That was a cool time in my life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. You guys picking up on some good stuff of Desi's character matched with a small market, matched with some good training and direction. What happens? All right. So you're meeting people, you're adding them to your database. Let's now start getting into it. Sounds like it's natural extension. As you start realizing there's more and more people in your follow-up boss.
Hmm.
Now what?
So one of the things I started to kind of get burnout, right? So I have 5 kids. I'm selling 120 homes a year. When we first got married, I did all the laundry, I did all the cooking, I did all the cleaning, and I was really good at it. My house, you could lick the floor, it was so clean. Um, I would do all the yard work. I literally would vacuum my backyard at least once a week. We lived in California, right? So it's a small yard, but I was still trying to do all of that while selling this many houses. And at this point, I did have a transaction coordinator, but that's it. I didn't have anybody else. It was just a transaction coordinator. And there are a couple agents on my teams, but they were handling their own business like I'm handling mine. And so I remember one day I came home and just the mom guilt, right? Like I didn't want to miss out on anything with my kids, and I never missed a game, never missed a performance. But you take for granted doing like homework with them right after school. You take for granted making dinner with them and just having everyone in the kitchen cooking together. I got home, it was about 9:30 one night. The kids were all asleep. My husband had made dinner, cleaned it up. Um, he had started to kind of try to help more. And I just dropped my bags in the kitchen and just started sobbing. And I was like, I cannot keep doing this. Like my mental health is not good. Like I feel like a failure. Like living is hard for me right now because I want to be this mom, right? I want to be the mom who makes the cupcakes and does the homework and goes to the school and volunteers. But on the same side, I want to be this career woman who crushes it in her career and shows my girls what's possible. And I can't do both anymore. I just can't. And, he scooped me up. He's like, well, we'll figure it out. Like, it's okay. We'll figure it out. And so what we decided to do was he's like, well, you need like a showing partner or an assistant or someone so that we can make sure you need to be home with your kids from 3 o'clock. You want to pick them up from school? Like, we're going to make that happen. You want to be here for dinner? Like, I've got you. Like, we're going to make it happen. And so I started setting really strict boundaries with my clients where from 3 to 7 o'clock at night, I'm with my kids. And 2 nights a week, I'll go show properties and either Saturday or Sunday, but not both. because I just started realizing like they keep growing and they keep progressing in life, and I'm missing out on all of it. I don't get to be there for all those little milestones. And it's not the big ones, right? Because you're there for the big ones. It's just those little everyday moments, those little hugs that you really miss out on. And so I got an assistant. And that was really, really helpful because she could handle the showings. If someone had to go between 3 and 5:30, I have someone who can go for me. So that way I started getting more of my time back. And so now I have a Katie who does all the things that I want to do as a mom that I don't necessarily have time. It's like, hey, Katie, help me plan my kid's birthday party. This is exactly what I want. And she plans it. And then I just show up and we throw the party together, and it's great. She does my laundry. She does my grocery shopping. She does my meal prep. She'll take kids to like the orthodontist or little appointments and help me drive kids around. But ultimately, she's like my stay-at-home wife, but she's amazing and she's so great. My kids love her and I love her. But that's allowed me to be home with the kids. I'm not stressing about cleaning up or picking things up because I get home after I pick them up from school and the house is already picked up from the morning, and then I just get to play with them and be present. So that's been really huge.
I thought it was a hire for a real estate team, but you hired a personal assistant for your life.
Yeah.
Interesting for you. And what year was this?
This was actually just like the last 2 years she's been with us.
Wow. That's the first hire.
And people are like, well, I don't have the luxury of hiring someone to be, we call Katie like our house manager.
Mhm.
Um, but from my perspective, like she's allowing me to have my time back and do more deals.
I think what's so interesting here is when people try to hire, it's almost like they want to offload the client work to someone. And not once have I heard, I don't want to work with customers. I don't want to sell real estate. You're just trying to do everything you can to talk to the customer. You're not trying to like remove yourself from the business
No,
by any means.
no. And because what we've seen, so like a few years ago when I went to spring break, my initial thought was like, oh, I need to get out of production, right? You see all these other people who have these mega teams.
Mhm.
And what I've kind of realized is like the profitability isn't there. I don't know of a lot of mega teams who are like, I'm netting $1 million a year because they have to constantly be recruiting. They have to constantly be hiring sales managers and trainers. And, you know, it's like you have to choose your hard, right? And so is it hard recruiting agents and running a mega team? Yeah. Is it hard selling 130 houses a year? Yeah, but you just have to pick your heart. And in my market, I quickly realized after I kind of tried recruiting some agents to my team, and I called this one girl and I was like, oh, she's awesome. Like, hey, I'd love for you to like join my team. This transaction was, well, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, this transaction was so amazing. Like, you have so much talent. And I noticed you've only been closing like 8 to 10 deals a year. Like, what if I could guarantee that you would close 20 to 30 deals a year and make more money than you've ever made in your life? And it would come with ease and less hustle. And she is like, my mom's my broker. And then we ended the phone call. About 10 minutes later, her mom called and ripped me a new one. And I was like, oh.
Oh gosh.
So I realized it's not possible for me to make a mega team, right? And
Yeah.
so in order to take over market share, like I've got these 3 agents right now that are absolute killers, and I didn't recruit any of them. They came to me organically and were like, hey, like I see what you're doing. I want to be part of it. Dawson, he just quit his job. He's been with me for a little over a year. His first year, he closed 40 deals and he told me I can't say how much he made, but he tripled his income of what he is getting at the factory in just 1 year. He's like, that's life-changing money. I'll never
Yeah.
leave. We just had another agent join us. He'd been an agent for a year, didn't close any deals, and he's got 4 pending right now, and he joined us in January. So, I mean, I think with putting yourself in proximity with people is powerful, but yeah, I knew I couldn't grow a mega team. So I was like, we're going to just focus on my production, but make life fun still.
So it's concept of leverage. You hired a house manager
Yeah.
for the personal side of your life so you can set boundaries. You found some right fit people for your team, but
Yeah.
still a lot of your production is your own.
Yeah.
All right. What else are you spending money on? We'll get to viral here in a minute. But where else did you find leverage?
Let's see. So we have our TC. We do have like an admin now
Is
at
that
the.
full-time on staff, transaction coordinator,
Yep. So
or is that
she's a
per file?
she's full-time, so we pay her a base salary plus she gets a
Hmm.
bonus on files closed. She's out of Texas, so she's a VA, but not in the traditional sense. She's just in Dallas. And then our admin, she does like all the gift giving. She's like our listing coordinator. And then she just got licensed too, so she can start filling in some showings for like me or Dawson if we're double booked, which has been really great.
That's
And
good.
then we've got our building. We're actually building a new building. It's going to be really amazing. It's also really hard to find contractors in our area. So it's been a long time, but we're in our office right now and we just bought it. And so when we buy the new building, when we finish it, we'll have some expense there. But yeah, I would say most of our expense is we've got just the three admin. We've got Katie, Braylee, and Shannon, TC, house manager, listing coordinator. And then we are spending money on Google PPC, Zillow, um, and then just social media marketing.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your decision to start spending money on marketing now, which is so great because it's like one of the last things you added after having such an incredible infrastructure to just enhance what you're already doing, not to replace it.
Yeah.
So tell us about this. I'm going to share my screen. All this.
Yeah. So we knew that we needed to start emailing our database regularly just to stay top of mind. But I don't have time to go write an email or figure out a script or whatever. And so when we started with Vyral, like you get your own coach. My name's Bridget and she's amazing.
Yeah.
And I meet with her every week and we film. It only takes like 5 minutes. They have the script all ready for everything. I just have my own lighting. You do it right on your laptop. And then they send out 2 emails a month. And then they'll post on YouTube, socials, everywhere.
Let's dive into that a little bit. So you wanted a way to market yourself on social media to your list.
Mhm.
What was your decision to maybe go our route versus all the other routes available to you to solve that problem?
Well, when we saw you speak at spring break, honestly, it was just like that relationship component because I'm like, okay, I know Spring. I love Spring. I trust Spring. She knows and loves and trusts you. So why wouldn't I just go with you? So I didn't really even look at other people because I was like, if Spring's doing it with Frank, I'm going to do it with Frank.
Thank you. All right. So we had to get you on video.
Mhm.
All right. So we had to come up with like topics of what to say.
Yeah.
What are some of those popular topics you've sent out to your list that you can share with the audience?
Oh, they're so easy because you guys just you have it like pre-ready for me.
So you're using the pre-written stuff to put together, which is still pretty good.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. And then other times I'll come up with my own stuff. Like if there's like with the fires in LA, we did something about, yeah, like we've done all of those topics. And then sometimes if I don't like the topic fully, I'll just kind of tweak it to make it my own. Or if I have like a weird experience with a client, it's like, oh, Bridget, I'm gonna talk about this time. And she's like, okay, sounds good. And then I don't know how your back end works, but they just write up a whole blog post that
You want
goes
to see
with,
it?
sure.
I'll show you. What's a question right now? So let's plan a topic. What do you think is going to be like the thing you can send out to your list this month? What's the question?
So I would say like the interest rates just dropped a little bit. Like we just had a conventional lock in the sixes, which we haven't seen in a long time.
Um,
Oh yeah, perfect.
something like that,
Yeah.
right? Here's your hook. There's the story. There's the key point one. There's the B-roll suggestions. There's key point number two. There's B-roll suggestions. There's key point number three. B-roll suggestions. Then there should be an outro. Come on, ChatGPT. Yeah, there we go. You've been trained. Now
Yes.
we're going to go into the headlines, the messaging plan. So we got to have the title, the description for the YouTube video. I think the thumbnail ideas of like what your video is going to look like for the thumbnail. Yeah, buy now or wait will reach. That's good. I like that. Hashtags, three subject email lines, subjects to test, Facebook post, Instagram post, LinkedIn post, Google My Business post, right?
Mm.
And then a YouTube short that we shoot to advertise to get people to the main video. So it's a shortened version of it, and then the blog article that goes with it.
Done in like less than 2 minutes. I love it.
Yeah. Little tip. Um, why don't you go subscribe? So you're getting a little more advanced now. Go subscribe to other real estate agents that you look up to that are really crushing on YouTube because they're probably commenting more on news
Yeah.
or pay attention to articles. So
Right.
when we put this in, I could say not only, write me a script on this topic, but also use these YouTube transcripts from other people that did this or use this article and
Okay.
we'll feed that in and we'll use that in the answer.
I love it.
All right. So there you go. So that's how you come up with a script. Then you shoot it. Are you doing it on Riverside with us?
Yep.
Talk about Riverside and how nice that's been.
It's been so great. I don't know like what they do if they edit it, but like my face looks so good in it. It looks like I have a filter on. But the thing that I really like about it is there's no delay because like sometimes on Zoom there's like glitches
Mhm.
where it kind of like glitches out a little.
Latency.
But we haven't had any problems with that on Riverside. I really like it. And it's easy to log in. The link's the same every week, so I don't have to like find a new link. I just go Riverside and it just takes me to where we go. And then she jumps on. She's like, okay, what do you want to film? I tell her, and then she's like, all right, I'm gonna hit record. And then it's like three, two, one. And then we just go. And then I usually just do it in like one shot. And if I mess up, your back end just cuts it out
Yeah.
and all together. So it's really simple, really smooth.
We use Adobe Premiere to edit it. And then it goes up on your, I should have your site link up here. Let's see if I show your site. Here it is.
And I don't have any special equipment. It's just my computer. I don't even have like a microphone, and then I just have like one light.
Yeah, you don't need much. Are you using your iPhone or your webcam?
My webcam.
Yeah. You look great. I wouldn't change anything. How much was the equipment you're using to shoot your videos?
Well, just my laptop, which I have to use anyways, and then the light was like $150. I've got a link if somebody wants to buy it off Amazon.
Yeah, so this is the quality with like a extremely basic equipment, right? Yeah, it's great. Look great. Cool. Um, Facebook page, Instagram page, where can everyone go to check out your online presence?
I would say Instagram would be the best place. And I forgot my Instagram name. One second, let me
I'll
look it
put
up.
your video blog in here we run for you. Put
Perfect.
your Instagram in there. That's the platform you like to go on, right?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. And I'll DM me, go find me on Instagram, DM me, and I'll send you a link to the equipment that I use. It's really simple. It's just like a lighting package. It came with two lights and is super cheap, really easy.
And where I'm on, if you want to see the difference between it's not much, is this one. This is El Gato. I'm on the Facecam Pro.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then you can get these nice little lights I have right here, if it'll work. They aren't loading. Come on. See these little lights? Yeah.
Those are exactly what mine look like. I just
Yeah, they're
have
like little lights that on each side of the light me in my dark dungeon of a room. So there you go. Okay.
cool.
What are we missing?
I think just don't be scared to do things that nobody else is doing. I think look outside of your market, see what other agents are doing to crush it, and then just bring it into your market. Be the first person to try something. Innovation.
I think we answered the CRM. Let's go through questions. Follow up
Okay.
boss, link to your equipment. So Kay, we trained uh, Chat GPT to help us out with that. So we had to learn how to train it. Um, when it comes time to like, if you're going to create content for social media, you have to sit down and like write a plan. So you saw like everything you have to think about, all the work that, what we're going to post, what's the headline. So I'm going to put a link to the script plan that we use in the chat. Here it is. So when you have to come up with a piece of content, this is kind of the script template, the YouTube title, description, thumbnail text, social tags, subject lines. Like this is what trips everyone up, right? Like so you write this stuff first, and then you have this script, and there's a formula for a good YouTube video, and then you have a complimentary article. So if you train the AI to like how you want that done, and then you ask it a question and maybe feed it transcripts of other successful videos or articles to use and it writes an answer, it does like 80-90% of the heavy lifting for you. And then a human comes in, makes it perfect, and you're off to the races and you can shoot your videos right from your phone or webcam, probably with someone directing you. Do you find that helpful, Desi? Like Bridget doing it with you as opposed to you just shooting the videos yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Because sometimes you'll be talking and you won't realize that you misspoke. You said like the wrong word, and you'll just be like, I didn't say that. It's like, yeah, you said that. And so, yeah, I think if you have somebody to direct you, it is really helpful.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, in that video script, that's called filler text. So it's not a foreign language, it's just filler text. So you would put in what the actual text would be in that script. So there you go. Okay. So that answers your question. What other questions do we have? You'll feel free to ask. So the website she's using is we have your video blog where we drive all the traffic back that we have, but you probably have another website that we complement. What's your main website that everyone can go to?
For like our home searches,
Sure. Yeah.
revistarealestate.com.
So Revista Real Estate's your home search site.
Mm-hmm.
And then more of your seller focused one is the one that I posted earlier that has more of the videos on you and your
Yeah, I
offer
think
calls to action.
that is sold by Revista.
Yep, it's recorded. Yeah, I think we're doing good. I think we're getting all of our questions, Desi.
Good.
Well, let me ask you this. You're doing great. You're going to be at Spring's event.
Yeah.
So you guys can go to Real Estate Spring Break and you can use my name to get half off your ticket. I'll be there as well. Is there anything else that you could share that maybe you're going to share on stage, or is this what's next
Yeah.
for you?
So on stage, me and my partner Elizabeth are gonna share how to make your own power production team. So we're gonna go over who to hire first, what the hiring process looks like, and then we're gonna show you how we use leverage to net over $1 million a year.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
And you did all that. So this whole story started 6 years ago.
Mhm.
What an incredible story. What's one thing you want to work on and improve with Viral?
Oh, that's a great question.
Hmm.
Um, I think we're to a point where I think we might want to start emailing more frequently. So instead of every other week, I'm thinking weekly would be good.
Okay.
And
Can I
then,
give you probably the next thing I would send out?
yeah.
Deal of the week.
Oh, we do deal of the week. Do you guys do that for people
We don't
though?
do that for you because you
Okay.
still got to put that together. But you want to
Maybe
do
just
more video? You want to do more videos?
maybe more videos. Yeah, because I found a lot of people, even though like they might not comment or like reply to the
And
video,
watch.
they like I'll run into them at Walmart and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, your video was so helpful on the 4 seller tips to get your house ready for listing in the spring."
Hmm.
And then one other thing is all the leads that come back. I need to get those. I'm not following up with any of them. And so I would say that would be a good thing to do probably.
You mean the leads in your follow-up boss?
No, the leads. So after every video, you guys send me a click
Yeah, people
rate
clicking through.
to people who've watched it.
Do you got
And
someone calling them?
yeah, I need to call them. I haven't done it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's probably where when you're recruiting to join your team, it's like, look, I have this brand
Mhm.
and I do all this work to like get my name out in the market. When you come work here, you can use my name. So the magical script to any of those people watching your videos or engaging with you in your database is, hey, I work for Desi Williams and she asked me to call you. She wanted me to give you a free ticket to our upcoming seller workshop or event that we're doing. And wanted to see if you wanted it. And also, if you're thinking about making a move this year, she'd like to offer a home selling or buying strategy call with you. Would you like to schedule a time with her?
Simple.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's probably let's go that one more time. So you have this huge brand in your market.
Hmm.
When you recruit an agent, you're going to say, you get to use my name and you get to use my brand in my list. And I'm going to give you the people that spent time with me. There's three parts to the script. Desi asked me to call you. Okay. She wanted me to give you this item of value for a ticket to an event. And she wouldn't know if you want to talk to her about buying or selling a house. Would you like me to pass her your name or schedule a time, or maybe even three-way call her in or a live transfer? That all
Smooth, easy.
like
Yeah.
that.
Love that.
Yeah, because like with the stuff that you're doing with your marketing, you have such a brand now in that market that all your callers have to do is just leverage that name when they call, and there's instant credibility now.
Hmm.
Cool. Yeah, Robert. So you have two websites. Who's your main buyer site with?
So right now it's with Sierra Interactive still. When we switched to
Hmm.
Follow Boss, the one thing that we really didn't have was a website. We were trying a couple different ones. I haven't loved them, but we're gonna try Agent Fire, I think, and see if we like them better. But yeah, our home buyer website is still through
The
Sierra
seller
Interactive.
website's ours. So this is what we build. We kind of build the content that we send out. It's the bait to bring them back to the trap. Is I would explain that. But these are all the example video blogs here on the left-hand side. And Desi, we actually have used one of our top 10 examples here on the left. So
Nice.
that's your seller site.
Yeah, we love our seller site and we get a lot of leads through that.
Talk about that. Talk about having a different seller and buyer site. You have two websites and the differences between each.
So the buyer site is more like it's really easy for them to search for homes. And we have it hooked up to a bunch of different IDXs. And so they can search all of Idaho on that one site. And it's very user friendly. And then the seller site, I think it has more like what's my home worth? Like they can ask for values. They can watch, I think our videos are on there so they
Yeah,
can watch
all in there. Mhm.
those.
Testimonials, case studies. It's more about getting to know you as a person. And so the whole goal of this on the seller side is to be relatable, and you're very relatable, and for you to articulate your competence
Mhm.
and your expertise, and then showing off success stories, like how you probably relisted a home and sold it for so much more money.
Yeah.
It's kind of your virtual resume to a listing agent or to as a listing agent to a seller.
And then when you go meet them in their living room, they already know you or they feel
Hmm.
like they've already researched you and seen you on camera and video. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, we got about 1 minute left. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience, Desi? I put in here, we'll both be at Spring Benson's event in Utah coming up. Yeah, John, that's the seller site. Yes, that's what they look like. We should make yours as strong as possible where your videos go.
So, no, nothing else I want to share. Thank you guys so much for coming and being here. And Frank, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. We got out of here. See you. Bye.